What's up, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back as we're continuing on with our coverage here of the Team Heroes Hype Amateur League Day number 3. Miss Anna Prosser-Robinson joining us from the lovely, wherever you are. I don't actually know where you are, but...
I'm at the Good Game Agency office.
Oh, snap. Look at you name dropping right there.
Well, it's my job.
Yeah, no, that's true. And yeah, definitely happy to have you here. What do you think about some of our games tonight?
Man, these have been really fun games. And even the last one was a 32-minute game on Dragon Shower, if I'm not mistaken. A little bit, ish. And like we were saying, a little bit tough as far as casting, but very, very cool to watch the patience and coordination of these teams. And then we've also seen some crazy strategies, some really awesome synergies, and some very short games as well. So lots of variety. I'm really enjoying it. How about you?
It's been interesting seeing some of the newer kind of strategies coming out, like the Nubarak web wrap. Not really something that's caught on a lot. Perhaps it's making its way around. And of course, we've seen a heck of a lot of Diablos, so there's definitely that trickle-down effect. Once somebody sees a really good situation, a really good strategy, a really good way to play a hero, it definitely has its impact. So, going into this one, we are following Backlash up against Prime Heroes Gaming. And I think this is our first Prime Heroes match. They are here in the winter semis, and they have started the draft here for Sky Temple.
Yes, very, very cool. Which team did we start with here?
Prime Heroes.
Maybe. Okay, so Prime Heroes banned Illidan. They do not want to play with Illidan. They think he stinks, and he hogs all the toys.
He's a stinky head.
Nope, not going to play with him.
Mm-hmm.
And this is the second time this happened today. Backlash says, we don't want to play with Lost Vikings, and they ban Lost Vikings right out. So, again, do you think they maybe just know something about Prime Heroes, that they happen to be really good with Lost Vikings?
I don't recognize any of the players off the top of my head. I noticed Brick here on Prime Heroes. Perhaps that could be him, but you have to be target banning Vikings. Like, at this point in the game, you would have to be looking for target bans. So I'm just going to go with Prime Heroes has somebody that's been playing a heck of a lot of them. Perhaps they play together, perhaps it's scrims, But they're saying we're not dealing with it. This is one of the biggest maps as well. The split-soaking mentality of the Vikings comes out especially well for the Sky Temple because a lot of the time you're going to be very concerned with the status of those temples. So it's a good ban overall if it is a target. I don't think it warrants it just for the soak, but either way, that's how the cards fall. And the first pick is going to be a Rhaegar.
Yep, the healing war dog.
I just call him the Fight Dog.
Well, yes, Fight Dog. Whatever he is, he's great at healing. He's great at mobility. Super strong hero. And the answer from Backlash is going to be, fine, we will take the draft hero himself, Stitches, followed by a stealthy Zeratul.
Now, the Zeratul Void Prison, which I assume it is at this point, we saw this combo a little bit earlier with the Stitches and the Zeratul. If you can get some money Void Prisons, you can really flip a fight on its head. If they kind of come up a little short, then Zeratul's definitely going to be a little bit less of a value pick. So we're going to have to see how Backlash can actually use that to their advantage. The stealth and the nature of this big map will come in handy for sure, going back and forth. But immediately, Prime Heroes, they pick up a Tassadar, completing the double support and bringing an Oracle to the table. And they're going to be setting up, it looks like, for a Protect the Hammer comp.
And we do love to see Protect the Hammer. Hammer has become kind of a star of HeroesHype, if I may. I think we both have a soft spot for her, I know. So do you think those picks are offensive in that they were looking to pick up Hammer and Tassadar originally, or do you think they're in response to the Stitches Zeratul pick?
Well, picking a Hammer into a Stitches, into a stealth, typically not the best of ideas on a general note. Prime Heroes got to be very confident that they can actually pick up enough support for it. But also, I'm a little more concerned now because Backlash, they've gone for a Tyrande and a Vala. So the backline Vala is a phenomenal DPS. Absolutely, you should be seeing it 100% Pixar bans. But the Tyrande as well, with the Lunar Flare. And now we've been seeing a bit more of a build with Tyrande with the Rangers market level 1 instead of Owl. And then 13-16 will both actually talent out the Lunar Flare with Lunar Blaze and Shooting Star. That makes it a very, very good disruption tool. And Sergeant Hammer can't really dodge it if she's in Hover Siege mode, which is what she's likely to be in. So we have a really nice, we have a lot of ways to kill Hammer kind of comp from Backlash so far.
Yeah, and Backlash also must know if they do want to go for that dual support comp, they've got Tyrande now and they've got one spot left. And Prime Heroes already has their 2 supports, so they're probably not going to block out any more support choices. So Backlash is pretty safe taking whoever it is that they wanted to fill out that support spot, if that is what they're going for. Prime Heroes goes ahead and grabs ETC. Going to do some good tanking for them and use that mosh pit.
I'd actually be curious to see if we're going to see a stage dive, to be honest.
Oh, you think so?
It's a big map. Global pressure can go a long way on big maps.
Good point. I still have seen fairly little play on Sky Temple, so it'll be really interesting to see how they might use ETC here. And what do you think they're going to fill that last spot with? They've already got the dual supports. They've got a tank and a specialist. Do you think we'll see some damage?
That's totally a random. Oh, it's not a random. They did it at the last second. Wow. Not how I thought that they would go. I was actually more encouraged, I think. Oh, it was a random.
It was?
I was going to say, I would totally want to see a Sonya here. And
wow.
And they said that their false stat is actually a Sonya. The problem is they ran out of time and they clicked on the false stat.
Oopsies.
Is false stat and Sonya like right next to each other on this draft? They are, actually.
Sonya's a little bit below Falstad. And they both have kind of the reddish hair. Get a little confusing. Yikes. Well, I mean, Falstad has some mobility on this large map.
I don't actually know what the admin ruling is going to be. So the Falstad doesn't make any sense on this comp, which is why I didn't see it coming. I wanted to say they need another kind of like melee warrior bruiser, and I was going to say Sonya. And then they said that it is actually going to be Sonya. It looks like Backlash is going to be okay with it. So I'm not redoing the draft, but that's a Sonya, not a Falstad. Their last pickup is to complete the double support. They do got Malfurion and the Tyrande to go with this. So this is more like...
Lovers.
Yeah, they're going to be looking for the picks with the hooks and the VPs, as well as just making sure that Vala has enough support to just do all the damage that she needs.
All right. Well, a little bit of a heartbeat rise, I'm sure, for Prime Heroes, as they thought that they were going to have to deal with a Falstad, but getting that Sonya instead. Tell me a little bit about why you think Sonya is a good pick here.
She's going to be in the front line. We have the chain heals. We have the the shields. ETC in the very front of it all is a really good initiator because he's going to have, I assume at this point, he's going to have the stage dive, as well as the power slides to get in there. The movement is the Rockstar aura at level 13. But the Sonya as well, she's also can follow in with that ETC. She can spin to win. How many stuns do we have on the opponent's side? Just Tyrande, who's likely to be more aiming the stuns off at Sergeant Hammer. So there's not really a lot of tools to defeat the AoE health gain from the Whirlwind. She's going to be in there, and they can actually take the Sonya Leap instead of Mosh Pit and still complete that Wombo combo.
Very cool. I'm excited to see this, and we will again be seeing it on Sky Temple. If you're not familiar with that one, it is the newest map. Very, very large, similar to Dragonshire in that there are top and bottom shrines, but there's also a middle one. They're not shrines, they're temples, and there are mercs there that are going to try to kill you while you try to capture it. But if you manage to fend them off and capture it, then those temples, is it temples or shrine? Yeah, temples.
Yep.
The temples.
Sky Temple has temples.
Yes, temples. Like what's on either side of your floor. Temples.
Sure.
So yes, those temples will become activated. They will shoot arcane laser beams at your opponent's structures, and they will do that as long as you occupy that space. So what we will see probably is lots of team fighting around there. We'll see teams stretch very thin as they try to grab 2 temples that go off at the same time, and we will see lots of teams running back and forth over long distances. There'll be lots going on this map. There's some really cool mercenaries, and the art makes it look very, very cool.
Yeah, this is one of the new tile sets. So we have, Dragonshire shares it with Garden of Terror. The Booty Bay has its own. Sky Temple has its own. They actually also share it with Curse, or does Curse have its own? I don't know. It's actually kind of weird to think about, but either way, it's a gorgeous map, absolutely. And we're going to be getting into this best of one, ladies and gentlemen, because we have here on the blue side, the repeat team. They won out the quarters. We're here into the semis. Their winner of this match goes on up against the Nexus Globetrotters. Will it be blue? Who is Backlash? Mordechai, Sky, Wadraproc, Disclaimer, and Baby Nova? Or will it be the flip side?
Yeah, and we saw 3 starting out mid. We have Sonya, aka Blitzkrieg, Brick on Rhaegar, and we also had Lucid on ETC in mid, but who is now running top to join Grin and Fool, who's on Sergeant Hammer. And Stagor is down bottom as Tassadar, and that makes up our team for Prime Heroes.
A very nice Protect the Hammer comp that they figured out by the end of it all. And Backlash was gracious enough to allow the Sonya. I'm looking at the Storm draft, and the Falstead is like just literally a centimeter above the Sonya because they just lay them out, left to right. So I can understand the misclick, and they were very okay with it. There was 1 second left on the clock. It wasn't a random. I thought it was. They look be. Top lane is going to be the big gank target, and once again, you see the big stun, and now the roots to lock up the Sergeant Hammer. Rock in the back there as well, doing all the damage that they need. And Malfurion and Tyrande, a really good early game CC combo.
Yeah, absolutely. You were talking about how this is a Protect the Hammer comp. Not able to protect her right now, unfortunately, but luckily at this point in the game, those respawn timers are very, very quick. We will see Sergeant Hammer jumping right back into the action.
Yeah, and that first kill won't really lead you into a game-ending scenario. There is, about a quarter of a level between the teams, but we also got now the shrines coming up, and it's going to be a little bit of a contest here for mid, I feel, and then perhaps we're going to have a shift of a focus because the mid is definitely the bigger of the temples that come up because you get more experience by the end of it all if you can capture the entire thing.
Yeah, and we're seeing that we saw some of the Prime Heroes actually thinking, maybe that top temple, but seeing how much is going around the mid, they all came down, and now we're seeing full-on team fight. No deaths yet.
No, they're going back and forth very nicely. We do got the double supports on both sides. The Hammer, however, with her range, is going to dominate this, and you can see that we're now going to be breaking off. Sky and crew going to be into the mid lane, looking to soak up a little bit extra experience, but Stagor is there as well, and he's just helping complement this push, and it will be the rest of Backlash, actually, to abandon the point. They're going to be starting their work on the top.
Something to think about, too, is that if Backlash can manage to get the entirety of that top shrine, that is going to behoove them, as they did give some trouble to Prime Heroes on that mid shrine. They could potentially come out on top here, could they not?
Well, both sides could actually still come out on top, but right now it's definitely leaning more towards Backlash.
Yeah, kind of knowing when to disengage is going to be really valuable on this map, and knowing when you're over-engaging is very valuable.
Now, it does look like all the shots, there we go. Backlash is now finished off. The last 5 random will take down, it did do some really good work into this top. The difference, however, between the top and the mid is that this over here was a fountain, whereas the mid actually gets this target, or this tower gets targeted first rather than the fountain. So that's why we see a lot of people actually trying to contest the mid shrine rather than the top, and then they just kind of consolation prize the top as it is. It's still an experience advantage for Backlash, even though we had better soaking from Prime Heroes. But the amount of shots going back and forth and just the amount of siege damage that was done has kept us pretty close.
There's so much open space on this map that it can be tough to keep track of making sure that the soaking is happening, but it looks like both teams making a fairly good play at it, staying fairly even at level 6. Maybe Prime Heroes are a few steps behind, but not far off. We are seeing some mercenaries being captured, but there's a lot of yellow on this map. Not a whole lot of pushing thanks to Mercs going on.
Now, there was actually these bruisers taken from Prime Heroes Gaming, and they're still ready to go, but they're kind of just delaying it, and this could actually not work out for them at all. If Waterfront gets on there, he does. No, he got pushed off.
Oh, wow.
If the Zeratul had come in just a few moments earlier, it could have been a free steal for them. And you might be asking, why the delay, right? Why did they wait so long? It's because they're looking for the timing, because they know that the next temple is going to be bottom, and there's going to be a lot of focus. So they're looking to try to time it out for the top push, but unfortunately, looks like it's just going to get pure counter here.
But it's a good thing that they did grab it then, because as you said, it's better to have it at a less optimal time than to not have it at all.
Yeah, if it got stolen, that could have been terrible.
Right. And we are seeing the temple rise at the bottom. We're probably going to see people head there, although there's a push going on from Backlash up in the top. 4 players as well as some bruisers failing on that top lane.
It looks like they're just going to be content to trade it out I mean, they're going to be getting more damage with these bruisers push, with 4 of them pushing uncontested, than if they left and tried to contest this bottom shrine. Now, at the same time, we got, you know, a little bit of a push coming into this bottom, but, you know, they're kind of losing that race. I mean, 1 tower down, there goes the second. We got ults, or so we got heroics now here for Backlash. They're doing a much stronger push right now.
I don't know, though. It looks like, I mean, this bottom lane with the tower going and, oh, no, just kidding. Actually, Prime Heroes went ahead and backed off to go defend, so they did not trade. And you're right, that push will be stronger in behavior in favor of Backlash.
That pool actually lived. Well, it would have been if they had continued pushing, but now that they're going to shift their focus here to the mid, looks like they won't actually lose out their mid fort. Okay, so that we traded out the forts, we got some gates for almost a fort. I mean, it's basically just very easily picked up here. That Void Prison, though, just really reset that huge fight there in the middle.
These teams desperately trying to read each other and to take the best advantages that they can. Ooh, and a hook for Blitzkrieg, and getting eaten by Sky. Sky immediately heading back toward their tower so that their structures can do some damage before Sonya. But luckily, Sonya, not so poor, not so squishy, able to spin to win, as he put it, and none the worse for Rare, Billy.
They got the Sonya, but there was no big follow-up. There was no big burst to kind of go through it, and Rhaegar just threw an Ancestor on her, and that was it. They lose out Mephirine and Tyrande. They lost out that mid fort because of the damage, so in the long run, it was actually Prime Heroes that got the better of the trades, because they got the kills, they got 2 forts, and they only lost 1 and no kills, and now they're getting the boss because there's nobody here to contest them.
Right, and they were able to just really quickly pick up that siege camp as well, which is now pushing the bottom as well. So really making the best use of where they are geographically on the map, as well as the time and advantages that they're given.
Probably no. Yeah,
like
I'm just going to avoid the question.
Blitzkrieg heading toward top to kind of clean up and soak, making sure to remember to do that. We see grabbing Prime Heroes trying to grab this vision, making sure that they're well positioned to take future temples. And it looks like Backlash is having to take the time to take down this boss that was put in place by Prime Heroes as they marauded their way across the map and grabbed mercenaries.
Well, the boss does kind of dictate where majority of the opponents are going to be. As you see, you know, there's already 3 bottom. They had to deal with that. So top gate gets pushed in for free, and Prime Heroes is now in position to grab this top temple to augment their push here in the top. That's for sure a dead fort, but because they're so very, quick on the button here, that's not going to be keep damage. Well, not keep damage, but keep gate damage. There we go. And they're going to continue pushing on as well. So in terms of a race, now it's Prime Heroes trying to outrace their opponents, and it looks like they're in a much better position because here comes the team back from Backlash.
Yep, they're saying, you know what, it is not worth it for us to trade that. We need to go defend, and here they are. Let's see how the engagement works. It looks like there are only 4 of Prime Heroes here, and poor Rhaegar getting caught behind, but able to heal up, of course.
Yeah, but they're going to get a keep out of this. That was an entire keep. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So they got a fort, they got a gate, they got a keep, and they didn't die. That puts us now at level 15 for Prime Heroes.
And when you see a 2-level advantage on Sky Temple, you know things are pretty dire. Prime Heroes does have an advantage that they are going to keep using. And Backlash really has to be very strategic about how are we going to grab some advantages for ourselves? How are we going to ensure that we get some of those temples and pull ourselves back closer to that? What do you think they need to do in order to do that?
It's going to come down to, I think, the next temple spawn is going to be very influential, because I believe it's just mid or just top coming up next. I'm actually a little lost in terms of the pattern right now, but it's going to be in this top area, I want to say. So the next temple will probably be a fight, and then whoever wins, depending on how long the fight takes, they might be able to even take a boss on that. And an 11-minute boss on top of a bad fight could actually be a keep.
Mm-hmm. Backlash making sure that they grab their mercenaries before those temples do spawn. Prime Heroes getting in position to take vision here in the middle. And Grin and Fool even getting on top of that temple, marking their territory.
It's more like Brick marking his territory. Yes.
Jokes are fun.
We got a little bit of push bottom and a little bit of a push mid. I think it's going to be Backlash, though, backing off first. It's level 16 now, and that's a problem for Backlash because they're going to be fighting this an entire talent tier down, which means they might actually have better luck pushing. But
yeah.
Hey, if they can get this pick on top of ETC, all the more power to them. Yeah, let's see if we can.
Ooh, grabbing Sergeant Hammer, pulling her back. Can they get the burst damage they need to bring Grin and Fool down? They do. Backlash able to get a little bit of an advantage here. Are they going to be able to pull down ETC as well? ETC being healed up? Probably not. That tank is able to stay alive. Every time we've almost got someone worn down, that healing comes through, and now Backlash, Prime Heroes is able to make Stitches back down, and as a result, everybody else leaves as well.
Even without the Sergeant Hammer, I mean, that Sergeant Hammer grab was phenomenal. Oh, there goes It was a phenomenal grab. Yeah, 100% Prime Heroes Gaming was not ready for that Sergeant Hammer grab, and that's to the credit of Backlash. The problem is, past that, again, they were down at talent tier. They're still down at talent tier, and that makes a heck of a difference in a 5-on-5, even a 5-on-4 fight. So, as I said, you know, it's going to be a team fight, it's going to be a temple, and this is going to be a keep. We already got catapults on the core as well, so a lot of the movements here from Backlash are very clipped. They're very much on the defensive, and I'd be very curious to see if we're actually going to be looking for a boss on the back of all this.
I think it was smart of Backlash to say, let's try and team fight here. Let's try to get a pick here. Because if they could have, then they wouldn't have had to team fight on the temple. They wouldn't have had to deal with the mercenaries and kind of all that comes with that. Unfortunately, they weren't able to make it happen. If they had, that might have put them in a really good position for the rest of this game. But as it is, they're still trailing, and you know, we don't like to admit to snowballing, but there is an element of that on this map, and they're going to have to work really hard to beat it.
Yeah, everybody's going to be resetting. They're absolutely trying to stop this snowball. 2 levels up, however. Prime Heroes Gaming is definitely more in the driver's seat of this game. We do got 16 from Backlash, but they're not confident without some of those heroics, or perhaps this positioning, or perhaps just the vision. They're not confident on this engage. So you see them disengage, the boss is back to full health, nobody's going to get it, and it looks like the teams are actually just going to fall back for now. So now I think it's going to be a bit more of a passive waiting game. Look for a pick with the Stitches, see if they can't get the kill like they did on the Hammer, and then try to capitalize an objective for that.
Who do you think that would be the best for Backlash to focus?
Sergeant Hammer, for sure, because, like, look at this. I mean, we got the Battle Cow goes in, he gets interrupted, Blitzkrieg comes in. That wasn't going to be a successful Ancestral at all. But now Grin and Fool, he doesn't really have, like, a lot of his teammates around him. He's just getting pushed back out in and around the place. Stegor gets really low. There goes the Sergeant Hammer. The Ancestral is off that cancellation cooldown. It's going to be on top of Brick. Sky is still tanking everything here. Zeratul is really trying to get the kill here on top of Tastar, and eventually with that VP they will. And it's a 3-for-3 trade, even though Backlash was down 2 levels there.
And now, while only 2 heroes are up for each team, we do see 2 temples spawning. So how are they going to be able to get them both? Who knows? We will see. It looks like Blitzkrieg and Brick deciding that they need a little siege giant help here. Wadafruck trying to get in and save it, but he can't.
Now
Is he going to go for a temple?
Well, we got 2 heroes up each. Sonya can easily solo out a temple. So can Brick. Zeratul, not so much. He does that
so
first
he's probably
aid.
going to focus his energies on trying to interrupt them, but it is not going to work.
No, it's not. He does have first aid, so he can actually hold out for a little bit. But, I mean, in the long run, you don't really want to be putting a Zeratul on a solo cap. Disclaimer would definitely be a much better target for it, and you can see they're going to be trading it out as best as they can. But you asked me last fight, who's the best to take down? It's hands down Sergeant Hammer. You get Sergeant Hammer out of the way in a quick flurry, a quick flash, and you're going to be off to a really good start for the team fight. The ETC tried out that Mosh, got immediately interrupted, and then Sonya jumped in as well, basically using the leap on, I think, 1 target. So there wasn't the best division of resources from Prime Heroes, which is why they only traded out even. So it's, again, it's Backlash's credit for that. And now nobody's going for this top shrine. They're looking for this boss.
Did you see the Backlash steal on the boss? Clutch coming in just at the right second to steal it by taking the last shot on the boss, denying Prime Heroes the privilege of grabbing the boss after having gotten the bottom temple. They are caught out of position and will go 4 down. Now that is the team fight and the engage that Backlash was looking for to get back in this game. And with that, they are even in levels again.
The boss fight. I talked to Haas a lot on the weekend. We covered Kings of the Storm. He's the EU analytical caster. He absolutely hates this map because whoever starts boss usually doesn't end with boss, and that's usually game. This is very much an end game scenario. We have a very healthy boss and 4 people dead for 20 seconds. Backlash is gonna push in and look for this win. They had the Eat on top of Sergeant Hammer. They had the Starfall in magnificent positioning. Everybody was around the boss, and they were able to get on the boss and steal it out. It sealed the deal, or did it? It
wow.
did. Okay, very close. Wadrafrog there. Look at the back here. Rhaegar. I didn't even see this. Rhaegar was on a temple. They brought their own core to 16%. Wadrafrog backed and used Void Prison to avoid the game-ending push. Who actually won there? I think Blue won. There we go. Yes. Blue victory. I forgot to hit the buttons.
Wow. That game was incredible. And if you're looking for an argument against Sky Temple being too snowbally, that is it. It's not too snowbally, it's too volatile. You can never know exactly who's going to be ahead because like you said, because Prime Heroes made the normally very smart decision to say, okay, we just got a temple, we have lots of room, let's go take boss. On this map, they need to be a little more careful than that because Backlash was able to, with only 2 players in the mix at the beginning, eventually the rest joined them, but was able to jump in on the back of that boss, steal it, catch them unawares, and take them out. They had previously kind of danced around the boss before, both of them knowing that they didn't really want to start it because the other one would finish it. But there, Prime Heroes being comfortable in their lead, said they could probably handle it, and it turned out that they couldn't. Coming down to just the very last second, I didn't even notice that was going on at the other core until you said something.
Oh God, I don't remember how to bring it up. I was gonna, all right, screw it. I was actually going to show us like the last few moments of that game, but Ali hid the replay thing and I don't know how to bring it up. So, okay. Let us then do this screen. Nope, I need to bring you there. Bam. All right. I totally lost my mind. I couldn't hit any of the buttons at the end of it. Really nice counterplay from Prime Heroes. They nearly took the win. But the key thing there was that they didn't use Void Prison in that fight, and Wadrafrog was able to back and actually stop out the death from the temple with his Void Prison. Phenomenal play from both times, but Backlash wins. Congratulations, they move on. And hopefully we can get back to some semblance of production.
We're both flabbergasted. That match was pretty insane at the end. Very, very cool. Sky Temple can be kind of confusing, and that's kind of what's cool about it. I'm looking forward to seeing how really different meta evolves on that map because, yeah, it is snowbally when we're using it the way that we use other maps, but maybe we're meant to kind of learn how to use a map differently. I don't know. We'll see, because they certainly used it differently this time. If
Backlash had not pushed, and I was afraid they wouldn't based upon the Dragon Shower game that we just suffered through. If they hadn't pushed, they would have lost.
Yeah.
Straight up. If they hadn't pushed, they would have lost. Rhaegar would have won the game by taking a temple that nobody was paying attention to.
Mm-hmm.
Whew.
Wow.
So I'm glad
Amazing
they pushed. Otherwise, it would have been a very humiliating defeat. But that is it. We're going to go on to the finals, and we're going to get that ready for you guys here because winners finals is best of 3. 3. That's exactly right.
3 games.
So the game 1, best of 3 coming your way. Nexus Globetrotters and Backlash. We'll be right back.